mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a dear. You're as cuddly as a cactus, you're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black pea.
Merry Christmas! Dinner with Paul!
I wanted to give everybody a Christmas spirit for the GFFL podcast pre-playoff edition. So, a lot of action this week on the message board. Chris and Brad were in quite the spat, like a couple old schoolgirls going at it. So, a lot of action in the playoffs, a lot of decisions were made and all that. So, I think what we'll do, we'll take a look at scores this week to see how everything shake out. As for Chad beat me 113-65. Loser game doesn't matter. Don't necessarily need to break that one down. Tony and Chris 96-66. Chris. Chris goes on to win. He's got the best record of the losers, so he's the best of the worst. My fellow four competitors in that best of the worst division. If you want, put your lineups up for next week, because there's still a little tournament between us. I think it's the system still scores us out, so we can see who the best of the worst is and see how that shakes out if you want. Or not, makes no vast difference to me. As for the games that matter were really tight. The only one that really wasn't tight was Rickman and Greg. This one was kind of crazy with everything that was going on with it. Greg finally starts Ryan Tannehill and gets him 11 points. Forsett 10, Lamar Miller 11, Demaryius Thomas 12, Emmanuel Sanders 6, Amon Green 11, or not Amon Green, AJ Green 11. McManus got him a big goose egg at kicker, and the Patriots defense scored him 3. I feel bad because I kind of goaded Greg into starting Ryan Tannehill. He starts him finally. He doesn't throw for a touchdown, but Andy Dalton would have got him 16 points versus the 11. It really wouldn't have made a difference, but I feel kind of bad because I kind of goaded him into that. Also, he had Torrey Smith on his bench. Torrey would have got him 18 points. It would have may have been a better start than Emmanuel Sanders, but that's a tough one to call there. And he starts Dan Carpenter at kicker, gets him another 14 points, and he makes it tough on Rickman. But Rickman put together probably his best game of the season, and still left some points on the field. He had Andrew Luck, had a great, huge, massive week. 38 points. Sean McCoy 20 points. Trey Mason 32 points. Alshon Jeffrey 19, T.Y. Hilton 11, Calvin Benjamin got him 5. If he starts Steve Smith for Baltimore, Denard Hopkins, of Houston, he ends up with 31 points, which would probably have been an all-time GFFL record, but he doesn't, so he doesn't get the record. So he ends up Sturgis with 10, Cardinals with 9, and Dennis puts up 144 ridiculous points. He could have put up 175 if he wanted to. His bench alone scored 72, which would have beat most of us in the league this week. So, hats off to Dennis. 9-4 record. That pretty much puts him in the driver's seat. I think he wins the division there. More on that later. If we go back to the scores, Brad and Jones, they had an epic battle. I kind of thought this one was going to get a little bit interesting on Monday night and Sunday night. Excuse me. Brad had Matt Stafford with 26. Forte had an off week, only 4 points. Arian Foster comes back with 15. Calvin Johnson finally arrives with 23 points. Randall, 4 points. Josh Brown, a 1. Cataranzo, his kicker, only 4, and the Seahawks defense put up 10. Matt Stafford put up 26 points. You think that'd be a good week and you'd be happy with that. However, Phillip Rivers put up 30. but didn't matter in the end. Eddie Rowe also had 13 points. He could have been a better receiver, or Kendall Wright as well against Houston with 15. As for Jonesy, starts Peyton Manning. Manning doesn't have a normal week, 14 points, but he matches his brother Eli with 14 points as well. Giovanni Bernard gets him 5. Anderson, the other running back there in Denver, gets him 21. Andre Johnson 12. Golden Tate 7. Jason Witten, a big goose egg, a big donut for Witten. I think his better days are behind him in Dallas. Adam Vinatieri 7. Colts D 14. Ends up final score 87-80 Brad. The only thing really Jonesy could have done was if he would have started the Broncos D over the Colts, or not the Broncos D, but Matt Prater over Vinatieri, and any one of his receivers could have done a better job than what he got out of. He starts Hearns, gets him 7. Colston would have got him 7 as well, but instead he loses 87-80 to Brad. A good match there, but really the game of the week again. We had another tight one that'll make you sick. Wade versus Fish. This one was a great game. Fish put his best team on the field, and he had a 100% coach's rating, where Wade didn't put his best team on the field. I think he was resting up for the playoffs, maybe. I don't know. For Wade, Aaron Rodgers, 21. LeGarrette Blount, 5. DeMarco Murray, 16. Anquan Bolden, only 1 point. Jordy Nelson, just 10. Randall Cobb, 6. Gostkowski, 3. And Eagles defense, 10. I kind of worried for Wade this week because of the matchup with New England and Green Bay. I didn't think Cobb and Jordy were going to be that big of a play, but Jordy ended up having a really great touchdown run there before half. So he did put up some points there. He benched Rashad Jennings, which kind of surprised me. Didn't start him. He would have got him 20 points against Jacksonville. Not sure why there, but that's what I think he should have started him. He's a must start, I think. So Wade only ends up with 72 points there, plus 3 later on for some rushing for 75 total. As for Brad, Matt Ryan, 23 points, outduels Aaron Rodgers. Jamal Charles, 11 points. Alfred Morris, 6. Brandon Marshall, 3. Antoine Brown for Fish, 19. Josh Gordon, 6. Dan Bailey, 4. Niners defense, 4. He maxes out. He gets the total points he can go with. For this week, he couldn't have done any better than what he did. He ends up 76-75. Fish is your winner, which takes us to the all-important who wins what dealio. And I'll go to the message board for that because thank you to the commish. He put up some stuff on there for us to make it easy. So here's your seedings. Basically the way it shakes out is Wade's number 1 overall seed. Rickman is 2. Don't call me Denny. Rickman. Fish is 3. Brad's in the 4 spot. Jonesy's 5, and Greg is 6. Don't get discouraged, Greg. A lot of action can happen at your end. Fish will face Greg in week 1 of the playoffs. Brad will face Jones in week 2. And then Wade will play the winner of Brad and Jonesy. Denny, don't call me Denny. Dennis Rickman will face the winner of Fish versus Greg. So start placing your bets there. We'll see what happens. The other big thing that came up on the message board this week is that the commissioner decided to he put a big note on there, and it looks like he may have deleted it, that he was going to do 1 more year as commissioner and then step down as the commissioner, and he recommended me taking it. I'd be honored, but it's still his league, the GFFL. He'd do it for 1 more season, and then give up the reins. But then he pulled one of these. He pulled a Brett Favre and changed his mind and decided he's going to stick around because he likes the delete feature on the message board. So thanks to the commish for getting my hopes up for nothing. I now know how Aaron Rodgers felt. And it's been a couple of weeks since we talked to our friend AJ Walker. He's got his viewpoints on that. Man, what you talking about? I'm a commissioner, not a commissioner. What you want, man? Were you Indian giver or something? Man, you just like in people down there in Ferguson, man. They get mad because, man, I got my Christmas shopping done, man. They decided to start looting and rioting, so I made sure I got my Christmas shopping in while I was there. I'm done before Thanksgiving. What do you think of that? But, man, when you do something, either do it or don't, man. That's all I'm saying, yo. And that's AJ for you. So, alright, so let's look at, so all the owners now get one more transaction. The guys that are in the playoffs get one more transaction if they need it in the playoff system. So good luck to those guys. Let's take a look at the matchups for this week here. In the best of the worst bowl, I'm, of course, the worst team in the league, so I'll face Chris. Tony will face Chad. Please, gentlemen, put in a lineup just to make it fun on Sunday to watch games. Just give us something to cheer for. Right now, the spread between Greg and Fish, the spread right now is 3. They favor Greg by 3 points over Fish. We'll see what Greg does here. He may go back to Andy Dalton. They're playing Pittsburgh, or he may stick with Tannehill against Baltimore. We'll see. Forsett at running back, I think he's a must start. I think Lamar Miller is a must start for him as well. Demaryius Thomas at receiver, Emmanuel Sanders at receiver, and A.J. Green at receiver. I think you stick there. I don't think you can do any better there. You may consider Torrey Smith for one of the Denver receivers. That way, not everything's loaded. You're not overloaded in one team, all your eggs in one basket. But Denver is facing Buffalo, and I believe they're in Denver. So we're good there. A lot of good home matchups for Greg this week. Patriots against San Diego. That's a good defense to start, and he doesn't have another defense. So for Fish, he's going to probably stick with Matt Ryan. Brian Hoyer, who knows if he plays or not. Johnny Manziel, that little money thing, little Weaver, is a buffoon. So I don't know who's going to start there. Jamal Charles at running back, solid start. Alfred Morris, another solid start. However, Frank Gore is facing Oakland, and Wade, they're terrible. The Raiders are horrible, and they're either going to be the San Antonio Raiders or the LA Raiders after this season. Mark it down. Brandon Marshall, at receiver, he's still their main guy there. Antonio Brown in Pittsburgh, you got to play him. He's just a stud. And Josh Gordon coming back, I like him a lot. I think it was a smart pickup by Fish. Dan Bailey, kicker. You might play Nugent. I don't know. That's a horse apiece there. Niners D because you don't have another defense. The only thing you may run into is Vincent Jackson. I like that guy a lot, but I don't know if you play him. They're at Detroit indoor in a stadium, and if Detroit played like they did on Thursday, I think Tampa Bay's going to have to put the ball in the air, and I think he's going to be the main guy to go to. So, like I said, right now Greg's favored by 3 on the current projections, unless he makes some changes to his lineup. So, he may need to make a change at kicker because I don't know about this McManus guy. So, we'll see there. As for the other game in the week, Jonesy, Brad, this one has Jonesy favored by 2 points. Over under there is looks to be 200 points total between the two. So we'll see what happens there. For Jonesy, of course, he's going to start Peyton, Giovanni Bernard, and Anderson in Denver. We'll see what happens there. Andre Johnson, Golden Tate, Jason Witten, I think you got to take Witten out. That's me. I wouldn't play Witten anymore. I think he's a liability. Adam Vinatieri, kicker. I like him, but I do like Matt Prater with Detroit because he can kick the hell out of the ball. But I think the Colts, they're playing at Cleveland, so Vinatieri may be a better start for ye. Colts D, of course, either or with the Broncos D. Brad's got Matt Stafford. I don't think he's going to consider Philip Rivers this week. They're playing New England. Stafford's against Tampa Bay. Forte, of course. They're playing Dallas. It's going to be tough, but I think we'll find Arian Foster. They're playing at Jacksonville. He's a must start. Calvin Johnson, of course. If you're starting Stafford, you're going to start Johnson. Plus, why wouldn't you? Kendall Wright for Tennessee. They're playing the Giants. The Giants fucking suck. That team is awful. And Brown for Arizona receiver. Wes Welker, that ship sailed. I don't think Roddy White's going to play. He's out, what they're saying right now. They're saying he might be back this week, so we'll see what happens come into the week if White plays. That may be a plug in there. I wouldn't say Mark Ingram may not be a bad play this week in place of Forte, but because they're playing Carolina at New Orleans, so maybe a tough call there. I would have a hard time going against Forte, but you never know. Cataronzo at your kicker because you don't have another one. And your Seahawks defense because you don't have another defense. So I like this week. I'm going to go homer-wise. I'm going to go with Brad to beat Jonesy. And I like Greg to beat Fish. But we'll see what happens. I'll probably get proved wrong next week. So feel free to flood the message board when I'm wrong. So other than that, gentlemen, it's been a good week. So I'm going to leave you to it. A short one this week. So have a good week. And remember that the message board's always open. So feel free to talk smack or whatever you want. My wife says the Packers rock. So my dog's a diehard Packer fan. She gets mad when I turn it off the Packers. And that's a lie. My wife will tell you that too. So, all right, guys. Good luck, and I will talk to you next week.